Hey gang, welcome to another edition of Sideline Live on NBA TV's Facebook pages. We get you set for Game 2 of the NBA Finals from Oracle Arena. I'm Matt D'Agostino and Coach Derek Fisher joining us once again as he's hanging out with us in Atlanta for a few days doing the Finals film room on NBA TV. Did you have fun with that after Game 1, getting to draw up some X's and O's with the rest of the guys?
Yeah, no, it was lots of fun hanging out with the Czar. And,
a lot of knowledge going on in there.
Yeah, it was fun, though. It was a good game to start, obviously, but we'll see what happens tonight.
Well, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but went exactly the way Coach and I thought it would. You know, next to nothing from the Splash Brothers, and Golden State has no problem winning by 15. Maybe that's not exactly how we thought it would go, but 45 points from the bench. Shaun Livingston, Leandro Barbosa really fueling the fire for Golden State in what ends up being a 15-point win. All that being said, what stood out from you most in Game 1?
Well, I think in Game 1, what stood out the most is the turnovers by the Cavaliers. 17 total turnovers for 25 points.
Sure.
And that'll cost you, whether it's the NBA Finals, the regular season, if you give up 25 points off turnovers. So that'll be something to watch, I think, tonight. For the Warriors, I don't think it really stood out, but I thought it was great to see just the level of consistency they played with all season, the confidence and the trust they showed in their team, their bench, the depth that they have, and that's what makes them such a great team.
Yeah, strength in numbers certainly proved out to be one of the deciding factors for the Golden State Warriors. For Cleveland, what adjustments need to be made going into Game 2?
Well, they talked about playing a little faster, picking up the tempo. I think Tyronn Lue's talked a lot about that since he's taken over the job. I think they'll try and do more of that tonight, which could work maybe in their favor, in terms of getting some easier shots. I think guys like J.R. Smith will benefit from a little bit of a faster pace. Channing Frye shoots a lot of trail threes from the top of the floor. So if they play faster, he might get a few more of those looks. But it also could lead to more turnovers.
Sure.
And an even faster pace, which favors the Warriors' style. So we'll have to see if the Cavaliers can play faster but still take care of the basketball so they can give their defense a chance to get back and get set.
Sure, and even watching NBA TV's pregame coverage today, Shaq Grant Hill saying it's not necessarily playing with more pace in terms of getting up and down the floor faster, but being more precise in the half-court sets as well, so that it's not a matter of waiting for a double team to come. But LeBron, Kyrie, Kevin Love can all, when they have single coverage, execute and be more precise when they have that single coverage to take advantage of it a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Pace and tempo is not just in the fast break or transition situations. Pace and tempo can be hard cuts and fast cuts. Pace and tempo with the ball being passed and moved along so that there's not as much standing around in isolation basketball being played. I thought the Cavaliers played excellent basketball to start the postseason because of the ball movement, the ability to make the threes. But you have to be careful with that. The faster pace, even in the half court, could lead to faster shots, which could lead to more possessions for the Warriors. And as efficient as they are, the more possessions they have, the more they're going to score the ball.
Absolutely. Going into Game 2 here, we're on Sideline Live on Facebook. It's interactive. Join the conversation. Send us your comments if you've got questions for myself, Coach Fisher. He's probably a better guy to ask questions to. But let us know. What are your thoughts going into Game 2 as far as what can we expect? What do we need to see differently going into Game 2, whether it be Golden State or Cleveland? Now, put yourself in Coach Lue's shoes. Everybody has been saying there's no way Steph and Klay are going to shoot as poorly as they did in Game 1. They're going to score more than 20 points. How do you flip around that and turn the conversation to, guys, there's no way the bench is going to play as well as it did for Golden State in Game 1, so we've got an advantage there. How do you kind of flip the script a little bit from what everyone else is saying and try to turn a negative into a positive?
Well, I think, which LeBron will, because he's been in this position before as a player. In 2001, we were on the same team in the NBA Finals against the Philadelphia 76ers. A lot of days off between conference finals and NBA Finals, and we lose Game 1. But you come back in Game 2 and you just remind your guys that it doesn't matter who scores the points and how for the opponent. The idea is to force them as much as you can to be what you need them to be. The Warriors scored 104 points in Game 1. That's a pretty good number for the Warriors offensively in terms of the Cavs defense. So whether Steph scores or Klay scores or the bench scores, if they can keep the Warriors around 100, they'll have a much better chance to win as the series goes on. So we'll see if they can do that tonight.
Real good point. And whether it's Coach Lue or LeBron, doesn't seem to be any panic on the Cleveland sideline after Game 1. And the stat goes, for LeBron-led teams, the last 9 times this team loses Game 1, they've come back and won Game 2. With LeBron, he put up pretty good numbers. Is it something where he needs to do a little bit more himself, or Kyrie and Love, who are both shooting around 30-35% against the Warriors this season? Are there ways he can get them more involved so that those numbers improve for those two guys?
Well, I think similar to what we just talked about with, in terms of Coach Lue worrying about the Warriors, the distribution doesn't matter as much, in my opinion.
Okay.
When you're playing against one of the best teams in the league, you have the Eastern Conference champion, the Western Conference champion. The defenses are going to be tight no matter what. So the percentages are probably going to be lower than what they normally are for that reason. So same thing for the Cavs. It doesn't have to be LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love scoring 25 points each, although the Cavs are undefeated when they each score 20.
Yeah.
But you do need J.R. Smith and Channing Frye. You need some contribution from Shumpert and Dellavedova. So you have to play in a way that allows for other guys to contribute. That's what the Warriors did in Game 1. And we'll see if the Cavs can do some of that tonight to make the game actually easier for LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love.
Now, last year in this series in the finals, we saw the Cavs take Games 2 and Game 3 and take a series lead in this before Golden State ultimately wins the last 3 games of the series. But are we getting ahead of ourselves here, saying that Game 2 is a must-win for Cleveland? The numbers bear out. More than 90% of the teams in the finals that go up 2 games to none end up closing out this series. So are we making too much of Game 2, or is this really a must-win for Cleveland?
No, I believe it is, not just because the numbers say so, but because, in basketball, it's tough to go down 0-2 and come back and beat a really good team 4 in 5 games. So the numbers tell us it's almost impossible. But at the same time, you have to deal with what happens in real life. So before this game starts tonight, it's a must-win basketball game. But the reality is, whether or not the Cavs win or lose tonight, or the Warriors win or lose tonight, Game 3 will be a must-win for one team or the other.
It's nice to know it just sways back and forth.
Yeah, in the
It's
postseason, each game is its own mini-series. And so whichever team can bring that one-game attitude that tonight is a must-win for us, regardless of what the series says, that's who ultimately wins. The Warriors did that in the last round. Each game became a must-win. And if the Cavs can approach it that way tonight's a must-win for us, they can give themselves a chance.
We've got a question from Maurice coming in on Facebook. He's asking if Kevin Love, LeBron, and Kyrie all need to play 40-plus minutes. You talk about it, it's not necessarily this guy's got to get 30, this guy's got to get 20, but those guys, do they have to be on the floor tonight as much as possible in order for Cleveland to have the most success?
Well, yeah, I think as much as possible for sure, but that may not mean 40-plus minutes for each of them. We saw the Warriors go to the bench, Steph Curry and Klay Thompson be out of the game, and they played their best basketball.
Yeah.
So for the Cavaliers, it's not so much about all 3 of those guys playing 40-plus minutes in order to have some success, but what's happening during those minutes. Are you getting good ball movement, good player movement that allows for not just all 3 of those guys to impact the game, but J.R. Smith has been very impactful for the Cavs. He needs to get involved, but you have to play offensive basketball in a way that will help him get involved. So what we need to see tonight, regardless of the minutes, is really high-level elite defense from the Cavaliers, turn the Warriors over, and then get LeBron out in transition, and I think they can play in a style that'll be really more conducive to their success.
Conversely, as a coach, are you more do you have a shorter trigger to go to the bench? Maybe if you're seeing something with one of those guys maybe not working early on. We've seen some tweaks, LeBron playing with that second unit to start in the second quarter during the postseason. But are you more apt in a game like this where you really can't afford to get down too much early? Are you more apt to maybe pull a guy if something doesn't look right early on?
Yeah, I think Coach Lue will for sure have some adjustments tonight in terms of, he'll start probably the same, but like you said, he'll be ready to pull the trigger a little quicker if things start moving in a certain direction. But the idea still is to, I think, allow the game to help you, have a feel for what is needed at that time. Similar to the question from Maurice about the minutes, you might want to play a guy 40 minutes that night, but you're watching the game and you see he's a little bit fatigued. Emotionally he's really ramped up, so you might have to get him out early and then maybe get him back in a few minutes after that. So we'll have to see. What the Cavaliers for sure need tonight are multiple guys making contributions on both ends of the floor. And if you can't get that, it's going to be tough to beat the Warriors.
Okay. How do you see it playing out tonight? Adjustments to be made on both sides. Obviously, for Golden State, if it works out, it's just the way it did in Game 1, they're perfectly fine with that. But how do you see Cleveland adjusting, and do you see them being able to adjust enough and overcome what Golden State will have to eke out a road win?
Well, I think we all hope to see the Cavaliers make whatever adjustments they need to make to figure out a way to win this game, or at least have a chance to win it down the stretch. No matter who we're all rooting for or pulling for, I think everybody wants to see great competition. From the Cavs, to me tonight is about defense and limiting turnovers. So continue to defend the Warriors at a high level to keep the points down. Don't allow this game to get into 110, 115 area. 105 or less is a good formula. But they have to figure out how to turn the Warriors over. You know, LeBron James statistically has been one of the best transition players in basketball since he entered the NBA. That'll get him to the free throw line. That'll get the Cavs points at the rim. What it will get is J.R. Smith threes in transition. It'll get Channing Frye trail threes at the top of the floor. It'll get Kevin Love threes in transition. That's what they need to win this game tonight. So we'll have to see really high-level defense from their starters and their bench guys, turn the Warriors over, get out into the open floor. I think that gives them a better chance tonight.
In Game 1, the Warriors bench gets 45 points. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, 20 points. Who do you think will score more in Game 2? Will it be the bench group, or will it be the Splash Brothers? Usually we know how that turns out, but the bench was just phenomenal for the Warriors in Game 1. Coach Derek Fisher joining us once again on Sideline Live. You can catch him on Monday night as we get to take a look at the finals film room. You guys will be diagramming, dissecting, and really going over Game 2 with a fine-tooth comb tonight. It'll air Monday night on NBA TV. Coach, thanks once again for
Appreciate it, man.
Helping us out,
Thanks,
joining
sir.
us, giving us your time. And he's going to go get on his coach's hat, and I'm going to see how many monitors I can watch the exact same game on here. We're going to be joining you live with post-game press conferences after Game 2, and we'll see how it all unfolds for Game 2. Thanks again for watching. We'll catch you later.